Hi everyone, I'm Allison. Thanks for joining me for number 126, where I'm from with Jennifer today. That's a little early for me. I just read I Quit Everything by Frida Love Smith, and it's about her journey, marijuana, caffeine, sugar, social media. I'm trying to add you, Jen. This is the third time. Hey, that was pretty good.
Hey,
Hi. Third time was
how's
actually a
the?
charm. Sometimes it takes 10 times. So, hi,
Oh,
Gina.
really? It's
Yeah, it's very
okay.
weird.
Sweet.
So welcome. You're calling from Tel
I'm
Aviv, correct?
calling from Tel Aviv. I'm
Nice.
calling. Yes. Can you tell I'm in pajamas? I probably shouldn't say that out loud,
You
right?
could
That's
definitely say it
embarrassing.
out loud. This is a safe space. You can say whatever you want. And definitely you
Thank
can say that
you.
you're in your pajamas. I'm in my sweatpants. So
It's
I
really
put a
raining
shirt on
and cold.
for the top, but the bottom is still sweatpants. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for reaching out and congratulations on your book.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. What is the name of it and how is it going?
Places We Left Behind, a memoir in miniature, and it's really hard to answer how it's going because 32 days after it launched, a war broke out,
Yes.
and it's all about my wrestling with living in Israel. And my cousin said to me in San Francisco while I was there on book tour, it's like a prophecy, and
Mm-hmm.
another friend said to me, it's like a sick joke, and it both feels true because a lot of my wrestling was about my fear of living here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I am sorry that it feels like that and it does appear like that. Like it is a sick joke. So that's a lot to wrestle with. And do you feel safe where you are? I use quotes
No,
because
no, no.
I'm sure
I
it's a
know. It's a weird.
continuum.
It's yeah. So, on the daily level, yes, we had actually an air raid siren yesterday for our first time in about a month. Um, and then when that happens, we go into our stairwell. We're with our neighbors, and we hear booms. And the booms are either just the planes flying toward
Mm-hmm.
Gaza, or that it's usually that a missile has been sent towards us, and then what's called the Iron Dome has been launched to um, to fell it,
Mm-hmm.
to make it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it falls.
Mm-hmm.
So we hear booms. They don't feel so close, and it's very hard to say to you, and we feel
Right.
safe. Like it's really hard to
Yeah.
have this and that. I go to the
Mhm.
gym, we go to the movies, we're out
Right.
with friends. It's a
Mhm.
crazy world.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that's always the most difficult to grasp or explain the sort of dual reality of living in that kind of situation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't
Mm-hmm.
just sit around all day stewing in the mortality of it all. I mean, that's
No,
not a
well,
life.
it's really what it is like the
Yeah.
existential feeling. It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
prevalent. Yeah,
I can imagine.
yeah.
So, well, on that note, would you like to read your poem, or is there anything else you'd like to say?
Sure. No, I mean, thank you for having me. Was reading, I was seeing, different writers that I admire in
Mm,
these, you know, where I'm from, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is beautiful. It took me a while to understand that it was leading me to you. So I
mm.
just want to say it's a really neat project.
Thank you. I'm struck. I turned 50 this weekend, which was big, and I threw myself a big party.
Okay.
And
Happy birthday.
thank you. And some people came, they're like, "Oh, I watch all of them," and it's just kind of touches me because you don't really know. You post stuff. I'm grateful to be doing it for my own self. I mean, honestly, for my own experience. I love meeting people and hearing these poems. But it is lovely to hear other people are enjoying it too.
Yeah.
Um, so,
I mean, you know what it reminds me of? The Humans of New York.
oh, that's a really big compliment. Thank you.
Well, it's kind of like, when all is said and done with this, like you could take this and I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know if
who
you will,
knows?
right?
But it's interesting because way back, I got an MFA film and television. I think now it's called cinematic arts, but back then it was called film and television. Um, and I remember right when we got out, both my husband and I have, he still works in reality TV and I did. And I was like, would it be cool to do a show that's just like about how extraordinary each of us is? Like just random people just sharing their stories,
Mm,
like way back then. And I would tell people that and they would just blank stare me like,
mm,
what's the hook? You know? And I'm like, oh, the hook is just how we each have a story, you know? It's like,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
I really, I find people fascinating, truly.
Hmm.
Like we each do have a story, and it's interesting how they overlap in the most surprising ways. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, I feel
And
like a lot of people, is yours about yoga? Is your book about yoga at all? Do you have,
uh,
okay,
there's a lot of yoga in my book, but not what I've
okay.
written here.
Okay, but in your book
Yeah.
there is.
A lot
Yeah.
of yoga in my
Okay.
book. Yeah.
Okay, because Joelle, who was two time before me, she also wrote about yoga. I think it's interesting, especially I think sometimes when people are reckoning with trauma, it seems like, we find different ways to make our body feel whole again. And it seems like yoga is one the
Hmm.
people is a tool people use. So anyway, no yoga in your poem, but please go ahead. I'm
No
excited to
yoga in my home, but on February 12th, I'm doing a one
Yes.
hour yoga writing session for the
Yes.
92nd Street Y, open to everyone.
And it's
Um,
in the post about announcing this poem. She has the link
Thank
in
you.
the,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Hmm.
Okay. So it's a really original title, Where I'm From.
It's nice. I don't love thinking up titles, so it's a nice
It
break to
works.
just,
It
yeah, to have
works.
the title built in.
Wait, Allison, can I ask you before I leave?
Sure.
Where did this come from?
Oh, this whole
Yeah.
project. Um, so some of you know, I was in a Zoom workshop in 2021, and for this project called Project for Advancing Health Stewardship, and it's about talking about health as like a community effort and how do we get everyone involved in it. And that's a terrible description of it, but Janine Ouellette, who's a writer who you may know,
I went to
and
grad school with
oh,
her.
you did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
funny. That's a small world. Well, she's kind of blown up with her Substack, Writing in the Dark. Like, I mean, so many more people are really aware of her now. She had posted about this free Zoom on Facebook, and I was like, well, it's free, it's COVID, I'm just going to go. I love Janine, so I'm going to go. And Janine does a writing exercise in these, and it was Where I'm From with these prompts that I share with you and anyone who participates. And we went into breakout rooms to write our poems with another person. And I sort of knew the other person, Amy Rogers, who's another writer. And we
Mhm.
just started,
I was
Amy too.
supposed
Okay. So
I was supposed to host her summer of 2020. She was supposed to be here on a grant and do a food writing workshop for me.
I think
Wow.
she's thinking of coming to Israel again,
I hope
if
so.
I'm correct. Yeah. So,
Uh-huh.
um, so we got in a breakout room and we just obviously we started talking about food, since you know Amy, and one of the first parts of the prompt is foods that you ate growing up. So we got on a huge tangent about foods that we ate, and I didn't write anything really. And we went back to the main room, and then I just listened to everybody's poems who did actually do the exercise, and I was really moved by all of the poems by people I didn't know, really. Amy was the one person I knew. And I don't know. And then over the next few days, I just started thinking about how much I enjoyed it, and so I just kind of put out a call, was like, oh, here's my poem. I did actually go and write one. Here's mine. If anyone would be interested in joining me, I'd love to hear yours. And people really responded. I was pleasantly surprised. And
But the
I've been really doing
whole,
one a week for the past
but it,
since
wow.
then.
But it's a Mad Lib the way you set it up, where you're
I didn't
asking
do
for
it.
a
A man
sit.
named Fred First did. George Ella
That's
told
what
me
I
that.
was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is not your
Not at
structure. This
all.
came to you.
No, I'm
Okay. I see.
absolutely not taking credit for the structure. Janine
Okay.
shared it with us.
Okay.
And then George Ella has joined me here, and I've become friends with her, which is an amazing, fun gift that's happened to me. And so I asked her, like, how did this happen? And she was saying that she started doing it in classrooms with kids. Like she would take her
Wow. That's
poem and
really
she would talk them through it. And then this man Fred first formalized it, like this prompt
That's really neat.
thing. And then it's just, I mean, it's been almost 30 years, or it's been 30 years. And now she was saying she found out, someone told her that like Jill Biden uses it in classrooms. And it's just an amazing, I feel
So
like,
neat.
yeah, it's a really beautiful story about generosity and like not holding our creativity too tightly.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was like, of
Mm-hmm.
course, go do
Mm-hmm.
this, and early on, well, about 6 months into this, I reached out to her and just wanted to let her know I was doing it, because I just kind of wanted to make sure she wasn't like, what the hell? I didn't think she would be, but I
Right.
just wanted to make sure. And
Right.
um, yeah, she was lovely, very
So
supportive.
today I just finished, I teach an 8-week class called Writing Our Roots, which in this country, everybody has
Mm-hmm.
the most fascinating, so many people have the most
Mm-hmm.
fascinating stories. And the last session's always on
Mm-hmm.
home. And I ended by reading this to my students
Oh,
today.
fun.
So I'm going to read it for my second time today.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, thank you. Where I'm from. I am from Kodak cameras, from ABC after school specials and the Brady Brunch. I am from the main phone on the dark wood paneled kitchen wall, 6536908, the color of shortbread, its snaky cord twined around my fingers. I'm from rhododendrons in the front yard, perennials in the back, weeding, an inexorable chore every Saturday morning. I'm from Sadaka boxes and sun-damaged skin, from Zeta, the Friedman family patriarch who made everyone feel like the favorite. I'm from maternal tough love, whose what's the worst that could happen and what have you got to lose still guide me. I'm from the paternal decree, always attend temple on high holidays, never buy Christmas trees, only eat matzah on Passover, but do not discuss Judaism's 1G dash dash at home. I'm from Berkeley's hippies and Hollywood stars, Sunday morning waffles with a syrup-coated sunny side up egg and cheese blintzes from my San Franciscan father and Angelino mother. From the apple of everyone's eyes, Zeta, whose first wife ran away with his best friend from Yiddish theater troupe, and his second, Bubba, hectored him with her bitter tongue. In my mother's hallway hang 5 generations of photos, her first generation American-born parents, her husband, who no longer knows his own name, their ultra-Orthodox son and secular daughter, me, who no longer speak to one another, their 9 grandchildren, his 6 to my 3, and over a dozen God-fearing great-grandchildren, not mine. I'm from these faces, many resuscitated from obsolete slides, digitalized to remember the memories we left behind, the times of our lives.
Thank you. That was beautiful. You covered so much ground in that poem, like a long time span, and a lot of ideological ground. And I, particularly for me, the phone number, no one has done that. And it just like hit me because I still remember my childhood phone number, um, in a way that I don't remember phone numbers now. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I know my phone number, my husband's phone number, my child's, like there are a few, but, um, and I still remember my best friend's phone number, you know.
Right, so do I. Yep. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. And we didn't use
Yeah.
area codes, so it was just those
Right.
7 digits.
Right.
Um, so I just was like, oh yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. So that was a really, I don't know, just like got me right in the, and Brady Bunch, which I was obsessed with. And I've talked about one other time on here because I met Florence Henderson and it was such a joy because she's like,
So
she was like,
cool.
my TV mom. And
Yeah,
then,
all of us. I'm eight
yeah,
years older than you. All of us.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I was just like, and I had lunch with her with another, like, she's just was so lovely,
What you get in
and every
LA?
everything I had hoped, because you just never know. I'm sure you've met people, I have, like, who you're just disappointed. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I shouldn't have met you. I should have just let the illusion live on. Um, and so with her, it was like, oh my God, you're just as lovely as I
Yeah.
would have imagined. So yeah, Brady Bunch. Oh man.
So for me, the most important piece of this, well, first of all, was television for sure, and the role that
Mm-hmm.
it played in my childhood, but the
Yeah.
camera. Right. I come from a
Mm-hmm.
photog not professional. I come from an amateur photography picture taking first my dad, then my mom, then my brother, and me. And I went to YouTube and I looked up the Kodak ad to get
Mm-hmm.
the the wording from the
Mm-hmm.
ads when we were kids on
I might
TV.
have to do that too.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'm sure it was like a complete time travel experience
yeah,
seeing ads because
yeah.
we'd see them over and over and over and over again.
Well, it's also like it in my mind. I thought I remembered it, but I needed to
Mm-hmm.
check myself. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think I had it, but so it's the memories we left behind, the times of our lives. That's
Oh,
that's how I ended it.
oh, that's okay.
That's why I wrote that.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that.
And
That's
also
so lovely.
my mom did this huge project where she, with a helper, she digitalized everything
Yeah.
and spent
Yes.
weeks going through boxes of slides that I don't care about, and my brother cared more about, but there was no way I was going to take care of it. So my mom, my 80 something year old mom, did take care of it, and so it was, this was kind of COVID. This is recent,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so
I
it
was
was,
going to ask you if you came from a family of photographers, if you had a lot of interminable slideshows.
yeah.
Because I had an uncle, like, oh my God, he would visit, to be
Yeah,
like the carols of
yeah,
slides, and he would, and you like judge it based on how many carols, It's like, oh
yeah,
God, it's a four carol,
yeah.
and
Right.
he was a single man, so it was only pictures of other environs. So was like
Mm-hmm.
went on forever of things it's like, yeah, oh boy. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh, our kids do not have that experience.
No,
There's just not, I don't think there's a parallel,
there's no equivalent.
of
No. Or
sitting there like,
letters. Yeah.
okay.
I was talking the other day I don't remember what I had my first book event in Israel this
Mm-hmm.
week. It was supposed to be in November and it was pushed, obviously. And it came up that I went through I've been given old letters from my that I've written to my mom, to my aunt, and a really dear friend in the 80s and 90s.
Oh,
And the story starts in 89. So the letters are from kind of 87 to through until the 2000s. I don't know when. And they were invaluable for me,
yeah.
like getting to reacquaint myself with my younger self.
Mm-hmm.
And our kids won't have that,
I know it's
those
not
letters.
quite this, although I have to say I do have a lot of old emails because I still have my email
Mm-hmm.
account from, 20 years ago. I still use
Yeah,
it. So
that's
I have,
amazing.
that is, it's interesting. I do enjoy like, oh, that is what happened. Kind of because things fade and you
Yeah,
remember the bold strokes, but not the specifics. Like,
yeah.
oh, yeah. I don't think I have any. I We got a letter from my uncle that my maternal grandmother wrote. She died very young in a mental hospital under suspicious circumstances, and we have a letter she wrote. And seeing her handwriting, since I never knew her and my mom barely knew her, and just pleading for help, and nope. And
Yeah,
so that was very validating in a tragic way. But it was like, okay, that was kind of, you made your bed, you lie in it.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, those, I yeah, I would, that would be amazing to have letters. So good for you. Good for who? So your aunt and your mother saved them.
My aunt, my mom, and a really good friend didn't
Wow,
just sent them back to me, like in
that's
manila
really sweet.
envelopes.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
what an
So now I've
experience.
saved them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, opening them. Um,
Yeah.
wow. So what was the experience for you? When did you write this, Jennifer? Did you write it recently or?
Where I'm from.
Yeah, the poem.
I think you and I were first in touch like
Mm-hmm.
November-ish.
So
Well,
you've been
I kind
writing
of
it
don't.
during this whole time. This.
No, I finished it. No, I think this predates October. For
Mm,
me, everything is
hmm.
before and after
Yes.
October 7th.
Hmm.
I feel like this predates October 7th. I mean, I couldn't. I got back to Israel from after a 6 week book tour. I got back October 31st. I couldn't sit at my desk
I,
for about a month. I couldn't.
I,
I couldn't focus. So
imagine.
I'm pretty sure that I had
Hmm.
done this before I left.
Hmm.
Yeah, must
Hmm.
have been September.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what was the experience like? Does that feel like before times, even thinking about writing it?
Yeah, just I it's
Mhm.
everything is difficult to know like how to answer. Would I have
Mhm.
written this now? I don't know.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
So was it an enjoyable experience thinking back or?
Loved it.
Mhm.
Loved it. Loved every part of it. But I think so. I was a Mad Libber. Can we say that? I mean, my brother and I used to do those things
Yeah.
in the back of the
Oh yeah.
car on the way to Tahoe, and I don't even know where we were, but like they were fun. And
Mhm.
so now, all these years later, it's like that
Mhm.
really spoke to me the way that was set up.
Yeah. I guess
Even
that's
the
probably
even the
different.
punctuation,
Mhm.
right, was given.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I mean, I should have it memorized by now, but I don't look at it that often. I have made a point of doing one a year because I
Okay.
decided I would like to do that. And it was really good. I just did it last week because I kind of do it around my birthday, and um, it was a great exercise. Like it's very different writing it than listening to it. So it was good for me to remember how vulnerable it feels to
Mm-hmm.
read the poem out loud and the pressure that you might feel to like write one that summarizes everything, even though that's
Mm-hmm.
impossible. So um, you would think I had the prompt memorized because I've sent it to like probably a couple hundred people at this point, but no, I don't.
I
It's
think
like an old friend.
I think all the way down to the punctuation is
Mm.
given. The parentheses were given. I think the
Yeah, I think
punctuation.
so
Yeah,
too. I did
super fun.
parentheses in my first version, which I love parentheticals. So I was like, oh, great. I'm supposed to use them. Because,
Yeah.
sometimes in writing, you feel like,
Yep.
is this a cheat? Should I not be using them? This gave us full license to use them.
Yep.
Um,
Totally agree.
yeah. So, any other thoughts on the process or anything else?
No, just I thank you for doing it, and I think you're onto something. I think that you're sitting on a gold mine of, people's beautiful origin stories.
Yeah. And I think I mean, I've said this so many times, but it's so true for me. Like, these aren't conversations you really have with people, especially as you grow older. Like in college, people ask, where are you from? Like, what those, but then pretty quickly it becomes, where'd you go to college? Or where'd
Mm-hmm.
like, and then it's, are you married? Or what do you do? Or do you have kids? Or it's not
Mm-hmm.
about these kind of elemental things about ourselves. And the memoir that I'm writing is about where I'm from for obvious reasons.
Okay.
And it has been so validating for me to listen to these poems and to think about how much of my life is influenced by where I'm from.
Place.
Because for so
Yeah.
long I felt kind of like defensive and like sad, like I should be over it. It's where I'm from. It's not where I am now. But these two are
Yeah.
linked.
Yeah.
And it's a privilege to get to hear all of these stories, and for you, like, and I will read your book, Jennifer.
Yep.
But I definitely had to like have a caveat because my reading is so, I think part of the reason I read so much is because I just pick stuff up, and if it's not resonating that moment, I put it down. I pick some, like,
I do
I
the same
just,
thing.
because that's the only way you kind of keep going.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is
I do the
speaking to
same
me in
thing.
this moment.
Right.
um but it's I mean, you live in Israel now, and you didn't grow up there, and like, I mean, it's so many of us have diverged from a path that we might have imagined we'd be on. And,
Mm-hmm. Definitely
and
me.
yeah,
Definitely me. Yeah.
so uh,
Do you know Megan
yes,
Harlan, who wrote
yeah,
yeah? Okay. Has
mobile
she ever
home.
done this with you? Yes.
No, that's what it's called, right? I read it.
I think it's Megan Harlan. She has
It's about,
a blog or like a
and she wrote a book.
yes, 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 yes.
Yes, yes, and I
And
read that book,
so,
and I'm
so
just trying to think, is it mobile home? It's something about how she moves or
yes,
how she is.
and
Yeah,
I
I
can't
should
remember
reach
the
out to
name.
her.
It's
I
yes.
you
So
Yeah, that's a great idea.
she has a
Mm-hmm.
blog. I think it's a blog. And I did it way back. It was one of the first things I did, like, towards the book. And
Mm-hmm.
she calls it Far Sickness. And she sends
Mm-hmm.
4 questions. So the first question was, share a little bit about where you're
Mm-hmm.
from, when you were growing up, what place, real or imagined, most fascinated you, and why. So this is what I wrote, and it's so different than like what came out of me with you all these months later. I come place where many people dream of living, the far left side of the map of the United States of America, the San Francisco Bay Area, the wild, wild west, where no one cares what color your purse is or if your toenails are painted, what you're wearing or if you shave, where the recipe for a good life equals daily exercise plus healthy food, where zany inventions like televisions and slot machines and Murphy beds were created, and unusual culinary treats like sourdough bread and Ipsit ice cream sandwiches and green goddess dressing were first tasted, where being different is more respected than blending in, and the free speech movement took hold the year before I was born. My birthplace, 12 miles due east of the city by the bay, conjures cable cars and fortune cookies, Black Panthers and painted ladies, Ghirardelli chocolate and AIDS, along with the Guinness Book of World Records most crooked street in the world, peace and love. I come from a place where, on clear days, you can glimpse the scarlet red Golden Gate Bridge anchored in the steel blue Pacific Ocean from certain hilltops, and every time it makes me weep.
See.
Yeah.
And it's um, Gina says that's lovely. Thank you for sharing. She is lives in the Bay Area, um,
Mm.
or near the Bay Area. I don't know. She has shared a poem with me. I try to keep everyone in my brain, but thank you for that suggestion, Jennifer. I will reach out to her because she
Yeah.
has a lot to say about
Yeah.
place and where you're from, and
Yeah.
that's really interesting. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Uh,
Okay.
and for anyone watching, please always reach out if you'd be interested in receiving the prompts or joining me. This is an open space. Come join. So
Wonderful.
thank you so much for joining me and reaching out, Jennifer. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Allison.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.